That's Parashat Para. Now, Parashat Para, we usually read it, and it's interesting, it falls usually after Parashat Kitisa, last week's Parasha. And the reason is because last week's Parasha was the terrible scene of Chet of the golden calf. So this Parasha, or Parashat Para, Allah is saying, Yavo Ha'im, the mother should come, the Para, that is the mother of the calf, and to clean up the scene of the mess that the calf did. Right? So, Be'etzem Parashat Para is a certain type of kapara for the golden calf. Very nice. The problem is that Chazal is saying why it's called Zot Chukat Torah. The Parashat Para starts with Zot Chukat Torah. This is the rule of the Torah. Chukah means a mitzvah that has no reason, no logic. Right? Now, if you tell me that the purpose of Para Aduma comes to be mechaper, the sin of the golden calf, so there is a reason. And it makes sense. So what do you mean? Parashat Para, it's a hok. Now really, if you look inside, the hok is that how it's possible that the one who is making, the Kohen who is processing the Para Aduma, he was tahor person and suddenly becomes sameh. Meanwhile, the other guy that is coming to become tahor, right now he's tameh, he becomes tahor, and the Kohen that was doing the process becomes tameh. That's the pshat of the chok. But I want to tell you something very interesting that brings down the Beit Levi. And it says like this: the Ramban and Rabbeinu Bachye, both, they said what was wrong with Am Yisrael at the sin of the golden calf. What was wrong? These guys, they all experienced prophecy. They all saw things that nobody else saw before in their life. Ro'im et hakolot v'et halapidim. They heard the voice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu straight up. Nobody else heard that before, and not after. How is that possible? That such a nation, under the same mountain, they will do such a terrible sin of the golden calf. So the Ramban writes that really, Am Yisrael, they saw a certain image. Someone is saying that it was by Kriyat Yamsuf. Someone is saying that was at the moment of Matan Torah. That image was the throne of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Chazal is saying, they were able to see, they already started to experience Nevuah on Kriyat Yamsuf, and the top of the Nevuah was in Har Sinai. Part of the things that they saw the throne of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Chazal is saying that the throne had 4 images. One of the images is Shor Ochel Esev. One of the images, it's a bull. Says the Ramban and Rabbeinu Bachye. Yeah, that's already. I'm not going to go to that direction. Yes. What is each one of the images represent? That's for a different shiur. But Am Yisrael, they see that image, and now they're standing, waiting for Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu does not come down. Boshesh Moshe lavo. Chazal is saying, the Torah is telling us that Am Yisrael, they got into a panic. What was the panic? They don't have somebody that will connect them with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when Am Yisrael, they did the golden calf, they didn't worship the golden calf as Avodah Zarah. They used the golden calf as the image that they saw in the Nevuah, the previous Nevuah, to be able to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yes? So, was not mamash avodah zarah what he did? What was wrong? What was wrong? That at the end of the day, you don't do what you think that it's right to do. That was their sin. Their sin was not the intention of avodah zarah. There was no avodah zarah. Their sin was you did something according to your knowledge, without asking. And that's why Chazal is saying that when the Erev Rav came over to Hur, and Hur said no, they decided to kill him. In 2 words, that idea, that mentality of following whatever I feel it's right, that was the main sin of Am Yisrael. According to this Ramban, the Beit HaLevi explains beautifully the concept of paraduma. The concept of paraduma, we asked before, decide if there is a reason, so it's not a chok. You know why paraduma it's a chok? And why paraduma it's a tikkun for the sin of the golden calf? Because the point of paraduma is to do things that doesn't make sense. Whenever you do things that doesn't make sense, it's actually fixing the sin of Am Yisrael by the golden calf, that they were doing things that make sense to them. So Yavo ha'im v'yikanech tzoat bena, which means the paraduma should come and he should clean the sin of her son, means that the ideology behind paraduma is the tikkun for the ideology behind the golden calf. And that's something that happened to each one of us in many, many different areas in our life. How many times we come and we say, yeah, I'm taking this decision, that's the right thing to do. Why you don't ask? Before you take any decision, why you don't ask? I remember years ago, there was a family that they wanted to send their kid that learned in the yeshiva in the Talmud Torah. So listen, he's graduating from the yeshiva to 12th grade. He's not going to go to Israel. Why? We want him to start law school, want him to start this and that. A whole plan. Rabotai, this kid today is a lost kid. Lost kid. And the father went to ask the rabbi after the kid went off the derech. Told him, Rabbi, what should I do? So why you never asked before? Why do we take decisions without checking? Maybe the Torah has a different type of view. Again, doesn't mean that going to college it's a sword. I'm not saying that. But before you take a decision, but it's an important decision, either your own personal decision or decision for your wife or decision for your kids, before you do that step, ask. You will be surprised that many times what you thought that is logic, it's exactly the opposite of that Torah. It's coming soon. Yesterday I told you something that happened fresh. I have a class for young women once a week. There is this young woman. She's not married yet. She's not young so much. And she's trying to shidduch. Rabotai, she tells me the problem, and I was sure that the problem that she had with that shidduch, it's a game changer. It's for sure not good. But I said to her, before I tell you definitely, let me ask also. I will ask my own rabbi. What is the Dat Torah? Now, Rabotai, I wrote down a whole message to my rabbi with the details, with the problems, with the... The answer that I got, absolutely not. She should continue and she should do A and B and C. We take decisions out of our own sechel. Sometimes those decisions can be the opposite of the Torah. חוקה חקקתי, גזירה גזרתי, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I establish a chok. Zot chukat Torah. That's the way of living Torah. How? Chukak hakakti gzera gazarti. Doesn't make any sense for you? That's exactly the point of the Torah. Following Torah, it's even if it goes against your own logic. Why? Because that's the logic of Borei Olam. And that's the only tikkun for the golden calf. What's golden calf? Avodah Zarah. What's Avodah Zarah? Avodah Zarah, it's going against the Avodat Hashem. Avodat Hashem means A, when you think that you know more, that's called Avodah Zarah. And the Parashat Parah, I will not extend it more. Parashat Parah will always come before Pesach. Why? Because Pesach, that shows the emunah of Am Yisrael, you have to have the lesson, the main lesson, the main source of what's our emunah. Zot chukat Torah. Whenever you follow that way in your personal life, you ask for that Torah, you will never regret. The opposite. You will be sure that whatever you're doing is the right thing to do. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ואמן. רבי יוחנן בן שמעון בן הקדוש ברוך הוא לצפות את ישראל לפיכך. הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר אדוני